Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to start this City Council meeting in Calexico Redevelopment Agency regular session, June 7th, 2011, at approximately 6:36 p.m. I'd like to have former City Councilman Arturo Rioseco lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will defer now to our Madam City Attorney for the two items that we had in closed session.
Yes, items A and B were both discussed in closed session and direction was given. No reportable action was taken on either item.
Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like note the attendance and entertain a motion to approve the agenda with pulling items 4 and 8 from the consent agenda. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Mr. Hodge. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Romero. All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I'm sorry. We can vote, right? Please vote. Motion carries 4-0 with 1 absent. Announcements, public comments. Public comments are welcome. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. Please complete a speaker form prior to the start of the meeting. If the item you wish to comment on is a closed session item, please comment now. If the item you wish to comment on is on the public portion of the agenda, we will take your comment when we get to that item on the agenda. And I have, first we have Mr. Antonio Garcia, the recognition of the CPEL basketball coach.
Oscar, there was a special agenda regarding the resolution. I don't have it.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, good evening. Well, thank you for having us here. I'm going to talk briefly. I only have 3 minutes, but I could talk forever about this person that I've known for several years now. He's the head of our basketball committee. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Antonio Garcia, and I am the current president of the CPEL organization. And this person that I'm going to recognize here has been a very fundamental person in the establishment and the goals of our basketball program, not only ours, but at the current high school level. This man has been dedicated left and right, summer, winter, fall, to the basketball program of Calexico High School, CPEL program, so much that this past year, something that hadn't occurred in 11 years, Calexico High School girls basketball won the league championship. That's something that hasn't occurred in a long time, and very well worth it. Today I want to talk about his accomplishments with CPEL. Recent accomplishments. His team, which practiced with him regularly, participated in the state championships. Not only that, but they represented Mexicali in the state championships. They're drafting us to go play down there because of our fundamental basketball, and so much that they won a state championship in Tijuana not too long ago. In recent tournament, the under 17 tournament held locally, the Octava Copa de 16 de septiembre. The semifinals, they beat the Mexicali sub-17 All-Stars. And in the finals, they beat a long-standing institution of basketball, Salvatierra, who furnishes scholarships to their players to attend their school. Our only scholarships are our motivation and our dedication to the team. Last month, yes, I already said that they did win the championship. There's not much more access, but this person that exemplifies what we stand for in CPEL. This person is known to everyone, but I'm going to recognize in front of everybody, Mr. Salvador Cuevas.
Well, one more time, I want to appreciate the support from the CPEL to promote the basketball among the youth in Calexico. And as you may know, I had been coming to this organizations to ask for support too. And as you may know, more than 15 years I've been asking for a shape for one of the basketballs in our community, but up to this point, we have not seen that kind of support yet. So hopefully one of those days, we may have one shape for those outside basketball courts in Calexico. So that's the only thing that I ask for this city council to consider that in the future.
Okay, well, we can look into that, but I want to congratulate you, Mr. Cuevas. I know you've worked hard for the last at least 15 years, as long as I've known, and you've always stated that basketball championships in high school start with the youth and the feeder programs, and
Yes.
it's evident that your work and your time has paid off. Congratulations.
Thank you, John.
Okay. And now we have Carmen Estrada, who would like to address the City Council.
Buenas tardes. Nada más mi visita aquí es para darle gracias a la comunidad que está trabajando en conjunto con nosotros y también al distrito escolar, porque el distrito escolar está trabajando un 100% con nuestra organización. Nuestra organización no tiene un costo alguno, es gratuito. Nosotros hacemos rifas para llevar a cabo este programa. El programa es algo impresionante, es un programa, la verdad, tenemos casi 4,000 niños. Está algo sorprendente, es mucho trabajo y gracias a Dios cada día vienen personas más a ayudar a este programa. Hay un fuerte comité de 6 personas, un buen board que es Luis Fuentes, señor Tony García, Salvador Cuevas, Julián Larrañaga y Griselda González, y yo soy mamá voluntaria de esta fundación. Y yo quiero pedirles de favor que me apoyen, porque tenemos varios jugadores profesionales en nuestra liga de soccer, que ahorita precisamente si se dan la vuelta, tenemos aproximadamente 15 equipos que están jugando hora tras hora, hasta las 10 de la noche vamos a terminar porque estamos jugando el campeonato. Entonces, yo quiero pedirles de favor y de corazón, porque esto es la mitad de mi vida, este programa. Le doy un 100% a este programa. Adopté 2 parques que son desagües y le estoy dando pues bastante mantenimiento. Tengo 2 meses y medio pidiendo que se le dé el nombre de un joven que se llama Isaac Acuña. Isaac Acuña tiene 4 años en equipos profesionales. Nada más que este año es cuando se le ha dado más publicidad. Ahorita él ya quedó en el América. Es un ejemplo para nuestra comunidad y él trae algo bueno para esta comunidad. Yo les pido por favor apoyo, nada más apoyo para que se le dé el nombre a ese parque de ese joven. Es todo y muchas gracias.
Gracias, señora Estrada.
Algo más, disculpe, hay varios desagües aquí en Calexico. Si cada una de las personas que estamos aquí o de la comunidad adoptamos una área de esas, Calexico la verdad se va a ver bien bonito, porque eso es lo que necesitamos, áreas verdes. Y yo los invito para, si las personas quieren adoptar, adopten y le pueden dar el nombre del cual ustedes quieran, en honor aquí a las personas que son héroes aquí en esta comunidad. Y les invito para que nos apoyen, porque la verdad sí merece, es un joven y es un futuro para Calexico. Gracias.
Gracias. Mr. Jung Kim.
My name is John Kim, citizens of Calexico. Last council meeting, I was requested about the major H money they can provide the crossing guard for those children. And I was expressed the why the safety of the children at the street is entitled to have chance to use the major H money. And after that, Councilman Mr. Castro was request to put on the next agenda. And I don't see the agenda here today. I don't know what's the reason. Is that the political reason or our city council man decide to not to put it in? But children's safety is very important for us. I believe that every person in here, they've been child and they have a child. That children's safety is very important for us. I believe the council persons or councilmen or city has to be considered strongly to safety of the children. Please don't take the safety of children is not really important agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. I believe that is in discussion and should be on the next agenda.
Yes, as you know, the Measure H committee has to review it, make a recommendation, then it comes to council. And the other thing that's being checked out is whether legally whether or not Measure H committee funds can be used for that. So that's the first question, and then it goes to Measure H.
Okay, Mr. Kim, did you get that? It's got to go to Measure H committee to see if that is a viable option, and then the recommendation would either come to us or not come to us.
What I believe the city council is final say so.
Right, but we've got to go through the proper channels, and we want to make sure the process is not broken down. Thank you. Laura Canedo. Over here.
You're not up there yet. You're not up there yet. You'll be there one day.
State your name and address for the record, please.
Okay, it's Luara.
Oh, Luara.
Canedo.
I'm sorry.
The address, like my house, 436 Washington Street. And I'm a junior now, going to be senior in Calexico High School. So I came here today to talk to you about a little bit of a sponsorship to my trip this summer to New Zealand. I was accepted. I'm a Girl Scout, first of all. I'm a Girl Scout at CHS. We just made a troop there currently, and I got accepted to a program application, a very competitive one. It's nationwide. More than 60 girls applied to it of all the U.S., and I'm the first Imperial Valley accomplished girl to get accepted. And this is the first time in 4 years that anyone who ever has applied to it got accepted. I'm going to New Zealand, and I still need to raise $1,400. Hopefully, when I come back, I want to establish to the Calexico community, I want to encourage girls to stay at my level, and hopefully for them to apply and get accepted as well, so they can learn everything I will hopefully experience over there. Girl Scouts throughout the world is also differently, so I want to bring back the ideas, the values over there here to Calexico. So that's pretty much it. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Rioseco, did you want to say something? Okay.
Good evening, gentlemen. Arturo Rioseco, 825 2nd Street here in Calexico. I'm here to request that you consider us for our next meeting, your next coming meeting, to negotiate or come to an agreement on an extension for our exclusive negotiation agreement that we have with you. Right now, you've given us, I'm sure you all know, the 90-day extension, but it hasn't been enough, and we need to continue talks with prospective lenders, private lenders. We need to have a more secure agreement than just a 90-day. And I'd like for you to give Oscar Rodriguez direction to negotiate with us as soon as we can, because the agreement comes up the 15th of this month. although we wouldn't have a real problem if it lapses. But we do want to continue negotiating with people with an agreement in place. I'm going to leave a copy of a business of our development plan with Luli for Oscar. We will be presenting each one of you a similar plan. Mr. Tirado has yours, Mr. Romero, and I have Maritza's. Maritza's not in town, but we have given one to Bill, to John, and to Luis. And we are close to getting this done. And we hope that you don't lose faith in us, that you continue to support us. It will be a good project for the community, and you won't be in any way repentant of giving us your support. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Any questions for Mr. Rioseco?
Just as a reminder, if I'm not mistaken, City Manager, that the agreement expired in May, and it was extended for 90 days. So really, your agreement doesn't expire until August, the current agreement.
I understand that it expires the 15th of this month. That's what I last spoke with Oscar.
I don't have the agreement with me, but we can certainly check out the time frame on that.
Because it went from the time, Oscar said it went from the time that you agreed to it here in council, not the time that we signed. But,
if I'm not mistaken, it was discussed in council, so I guess if anything doesn't go into an effect until the council accepted the minutes on that decision. So that's why I think it would carry it on to sometime in May.
Well, I suggest we put it on a closed session and take a look at it more thoroughly.
For the next meeting?
For the next meeting.
But that you instruct
yes.
Oscar to meet with me, because there are some things that need to be worked better in wording.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Rios.
Good night.
And we have no more public comments. I do have a proclamation proclaiming the week of June 6th to June 10th as Imperial Valley Food Bank Week, and I believe we have someone in the audience. Whereas the Imperial Valley Food Bank has been serving residents of the County of Imperial since a college professor and his students began serving the hungry from a garage in 1991. And whereas the Imperial Valley Food Bank has grown into its present location with a 12,000 square foot warehouse where they continue to help improve the food security of the Imperial County residents in need without regard to race, national origin, religion, gender, disability, medical condition of age, and work as anti-hunger advocates at local, state, and federal levels. And whereas the IV Food Bank has developed partner relationships with 77 nonprofit agencies and faith organizations in the county who then serve their own communities with the bounty provided by the IV Food Bank. And whereas the IV Food Bank seeks to educate residents to the benefits of food stamps to improve their families' monthly food security and to educate clients in the benefits of nutritionally sound meal preparation and exercise promoting healthier lifestyles for all county residents. And whereas the IV Food Bank benefits from the generosity of local growers who provide locally grown produce for its to distribute to our partner agencies totaling 1 million pounds in 2010. And whereas the Imperial Valley Food Bank is the only food bank in Imperial County, a distributing partner of Feeding America and a member of the California Association of Food Banks, and distributed over 3 million pounds of food in 2010. And whereas the Imperial Valley Food Bank currently serves 12% of the residents in Imperial County, racking over 20,000 persons in each month of 2011, and is continually looking for ways to fulfill its mission and increase its ability to feed so many people. And whereas this week marks the 20th anniversary of the Imperial Valley Food Bank's creation, and in recognition of their efforts to assist children, seniors, homeless, unemployed, and underemployed in Imperial County who suffer from hunger. Now therefore be it resolved that the week of June 6th to June 10th be designated as Imperial Valley Food Week in Calexico, California. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mayor and City Council. It's nice to be in Calexico to get this proclamation. We were also declared Imperial Valley Food Bank Week in the 51st Congressional District, and it's very nice to celebrate our 20 years of community service for all of Imperial County. It's also kind of sad. We'd love to be able to close our doors, but that's probably not going to happen anytime soon. Thank you for your support. Please be looking for us in the months to come. We'll be starting some new programs and asking for some community service, as well as always your donated cans and money to the food bank. It is a very worthy cause. We are completely tax deductible, and we are feeding 20,000 people a month, and that is quite staggering when you think about it. But we are, and that's a good thing. Thank you again for your time and for this honor.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Could you state your name, please?
I'm sorry. My name is Sarah Griffin. I'm the executive director of the Imperial Valley Food Bank, and I do live in El Centro. I hope that you don't hold that against me.
Thank you very much. And now I'd like to invite Mayor Pro Tem Castro to make a couple of presentations to Marta Escobar and Jorge Martinez.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, I would like to congratulate this young lady for being a determined athlete that shines in basketball. And now she's playing for the Selección Mexicana in Mexico. She's only 15 years old, and she's playing with the big leagues in Mexicali, Ensenada, and all Mexico. And also, I would like to congratulate Señor Cuevas for being very successful in your passion to play and to determine with these young girls, young ladies, and I want you to explain us how far this lady, Martita Escobar, go far to Mexico. Would you please explain to us?
Well, thank you for the opportunity, but as you may know, Martita, she started playing when she was 8 years old. Actually, back then, the daughter of Mr. Castro was in my basketball team. And since that time, she was actually impressed by the performance of the team that back then in 1999, we won the championship in Mexicali, and we beat everybody else in Mexicali, and we represent back then Mexicali in the state championship. So Martita got into this idea to play basketball, and I remember, well, actually the family had been telling me that they used to tell her, you're going to be the post for Mr. Cuevas, and she said, no, I don't want to be the basketball player. And now that she has been playing since that time, last summer, as you may know too, we won the championship in Mexicali undefeated. And she was a valuable asset for us in that team. And then the all-star team from Mexicali started get in shape, and they asked me if I allow her to play with one of the teams in Mexicali to participate in the elimination process for the Olympic youth in Mexico. So she went and played with that team. However, Salvatierra is a very strong team, and they beat the team that Martita was playing for. And then the team from Mexicali asked Martita if she want to be participating in that all-star team from Mexicali, and she said yes. And they went to play for the state championship over there at Ensenada. Mexicali lost in the state championship, and then Ensenada won the state championship and asked Salvatierra actually to say, can you lend Martita to play for us? And then Martita got into the team, and she was participating on those training sessions every weekend since October. So she went and started participating every weekend. She was actually leaving Calexico on Fridays and coming back on Sundays. So, and then they participate in the regional tournament at Ensenada, where Baja State from Baja State, Sonora, Sinaloa, and Baja Sur. And Baja State actually won the championship and went to the National Olympics that took place at Toluca, Estado de Mexico, for the National Olympics for Youth. What happens at that tournament is the Baja got the National Olympic Championship. So we had the honor to have Martita in our sides, to have that kind of caliber of player that can be actually now in the national team from Mexico under 16 years old. So that's how far she has been into it, and that's just the beginning for her at that caliber. And one of the things that actually for me is very, how could I say this, how this community or how Calexico can be able to provide or develop this kind of talent. As you may know, Baja has almost 6 million population, and Calexico has 40,000 people. So Calexico can produce this quality of players that can be participating in an all-star team that is selected from 6 million populations. So she's one of those strong players now in Baja. She's well recognized already in Baja. And I am very proud to actually be able to develop this type of talent.
Thank you, Mr. Cuevas.
On behalf of CPAL, I give you this, I'm very proud to give you this trophy. Congratulations, Martita. Un aplauso.
Thank you, Mr. Castro. Is there any other award? No? Okay, moving right along. General comments by city council members. Start with to my left here with Mr. Hodge.
I am very hopeful for the city of Calexico at this point in time. This is based on several discussions I've had with City Manager Oscar Rodriguez, where we have both concluded that the city of Calexico needs to devise a fiscal, and at this point in time, emergency strategy plan. Now, this is integral, but it is above and beyond the city budget. What I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen, is a document, a few pages, that identify the specific target areas, endeavors, that will help minimize or possibly eliminate the city's financial deficit. Now, granted, the city is working on many areas constructively to get us out of the red. But I believe that the efforts that we're doing are somewhat fragmented and we're isolated from each other as a team. We lack the big picture. We need on paper a list of all our efforts and target areas, including goals, objectives, timelines, results. In other words, and Mayor Moreno will appreciate this, we need an action plan to get us out of the deficit and hopefully eliminate furloughs and go back to being open on Fridays. Right now, I want to commend the target areas that City Manager Oscar Rodriguez is working on. But in addition, I believe the ones that I'm going to state in the following will greatly help us get out of the deficit. And let me acknowledge that commissions, and advisory committees are already working on some of these areas, like collecting developer fees, past and present, business licenses, reducing overtime, reducing consultant fees, improving upon code enforcement, moving forward on reorganization, and increasing the sales tax with the help of the Chamber of Commerce. I want to see this document, action plan, posted in every department, placed on every desk. I want us to dialogue, meet, plan together on this action plan. I want us to see us work closer as a team, acknowledge a sense of urgency, and be more proactive. I hope all of you will support this. Yes, the details will need to be worked out, but we need to come together more as a team. I know we will work together and get out of this deficit on that note. The other one, and this is a lot shorter, driving up, I live close to Bowker, driving up on Cole, and there are a lot of weeds roughly starting, and it's on the sidewalk and almost over on the street. A lot of weeds, roughly from Cleveland all the way up to Clinton or even up to the gas station. And I've seen that. It bothers me. It doesn't look too good. And the other day I was driving, and there was a gentleman out there cutting them, pulling them. And I pulled over and I said, "Sir, are you working for the city?" He says, "No, but I'm tired of walking down here in these weeds." And I said, "Sir, I appreciate your effort here, but I want to bring this up at City Council." So how soon can we get that cleaned up?
Well, I know that the code enforcement officers have been working on these vacant lots, especially along Cole Road. There's a procedure that we have to go through where we provide for 3 citations. If the citations are not honored, then there's a procedure to move forward to actually clean up the vacant lots or have them contracted to be cleaned up, and then we lien the property. So a lot of these lots are on their second violation. I'll be happy to provide a report when they get there, but there's a procedure, unfortunately, we just have to follow in order to be able to enforce the cleanup.
Okay, you say lots, but what I'm referring to, it's really weird. It's on the sidewalk. It's almost out on the street.
Well, we'll have somebody look at that tomorrow, but if they're on the sidewalk, if it's not on the personal property, then it's our responsibility and we'll take care of it.
There's that brick fence, and it's out on the city sidewalk, and they're sticking out almost out onto the street.
Okay, we'll look at that tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Hodge. Mr. Castro.
I concur with Mr. Bill Hodge, and also I believe that city manager, he's moving forward, and there's no doubt about it. He's he's working on it, so we need to wait to make changes. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Castro. Mr. Romero.
Yes, I have a few items, but I'm sure it won't be as lengthy as Mr. Councilman Hodge here. One of the things that I noticed in the minutes that on the 15th of March and again on the 19th, Mayor Moreno had requested a status on the report of the promise from FEMA with U.S. Senator Barbara Boxer. I don't recall receiving that report. City manager, since I don't see Mr. Estrada here or whoever else is involved in it. Maybe in one of the future council meetings, somebody can give an update regarding the swimming pool. I understand there's a meeting program for Monday. Hopefully something more positive will come out of it. I do want to share that there was a message circulating south of the border that GSA had received approval on the go-ahead on the renovation of the downtown port of entry. It's just to inform you that GSA has already confirmed that they have not received word to move forward on the construction itself, but they are still moving forward on all requirements prior to the initiation of the construction. The report first was surfaced by Governor of Baja California, Osuna Millan. And so since then, agencies on the south side of the border have been trying to correct that statement. One of the things that we had a League of California Cities quarter meeting at the Cultural Arts Center. We were fortunate that all council members were present, including Commissioner Benji Horton Jr. for the Economic Development, as well as two directors. If I forget, I know it was Rosalind Guerrero and Senator Toller. Thank you for taking the time. And I do thank all of those involved that were involved in putting this together. It was, as I believe, Mayor, it was a pretty successful event for the city. Also, Rosalind, there was back in April, if not May, I asked for in the first meeting in June to have a status report on all 1,000-hour employees. It's not on the agenda. Make sure it's on the next one, please. One other thing is that there was first let me go to this one. There was a luncheon today in honor of Richard Delaney, who's now the publisher for the Imperial Valley Press. One of the things that he mentioned that he was not aware that the relationship between the Imperial Valley Press and the city of Calexico was bad as it was, and I told him there was no relationship. And he was very forthcoming as far as what his plans are, and how to better. I'm not going to say promote, but to speak more positively for the city of Calexico. One of the things that I mentioned to him, that there are circumstances, even though when there was an article that's intended to be positive, you can still sense some negativity in it. And I did assure him that ever since Chelsea has been covering our council meetings and other events, that really it's been a 180-degree difference. We've been very fortunate for as long as she's been here that the coverage of these meetings and other functions have been very much in a positive note, and for that I thank you, Chelsea.
Make sure you write that down when it gets published.
One last thing is that the sales tax issue. Director Hashem, I understand that the sales tax is going to decrease for the state, and I just want to make sure it's a clarity, it's an impact on the state and not on the city. All right. So your projected numbers are not necessarily impacted. Very good. Thank you. That is it, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Romero, and I want to congratulate Chief Nujar on a safe graduation, and congratulations to all the graduates. The city of Calexico gets bottlenecked over there by the high school, and I'm glad that you had the extra help out there. And with graduation comes summertime, and I'd like to see what the Measure H committee can do to promote the recreation programs we used to have in place. And I know that the Measure H committee, I don't know when they're meeting, but I think that's an important part of public safety is recreation, as Chief Nujar had mentioned at prior meetings. What can Measure H do for the recreation programs? If we can have that dialogue, Mr. Rodriguez. And at the same time, with the pool, I've been looking into the pool, and I know that there are certain public agencies that have helped other swimming pools throughout the Imperial County. Namely one, I believe that District Attorney Gilbert Ortero and his confiscated currency somehow goes out to help youth programs. I'd like to look into that and see what that can do, if anything, to assist our venture for the pool. Also, I know that the IID with Mr. Hanks had helped fund $40,000 for the city of Calapat to fund their pool. I'd like to see what they can do for the city of Calexico. And also, the San Diego County Water Authority has been funding the All-American Canal. What can they do to help us out with our swimming pool? So if we pool, no pun intended, monies together for our swimming pool, then maybe our cost would be not as exorbitant. So I'd like to see, if you have a meeting, if you could look at those items and see what other programs there may be. Also, I'd like to piggyback on the comment by Mr. Romero of the League of California Cities. As I recall, this hasn't been done, and they can't recall. So I want to congratulate Mr. Romero for coming up with the idea and pushing it forward. It's usually a lot of the action in the Imperial County happens north of 8, but south of 8, we've got a big city of 1 million people across the border, and we seem to be not that into it, but I think we're moving in the right direction. I'd also like to take a look at a particular program whereby I was looking at the historical Calexico Historical Museum, that they had a presentation back in May 5th. And there was a letter written out by the City Council's office, and the 5 City Council members each had a particular department that they provided input or learned from, or had some kind of, I don't want to say authorization, but some kind of relationship with. I'd like to see if we can try that and take a look at our departments, and maybe each of the City Council members work with that particular department, maybe for a year, you know, and maybe learn about, first of all, the intricacies, the nuances of that particular department. And it was interesting to note that the departments are basically the same. You had your recreation, you had your police, your fire, your finance, and there was a city council person in charge, or not in charge, but I guess who worked closely with that department. And I'll get together with you to give you an idea of what I mean. And I think all of us will become better city council members if we engage ourselves in particular department. You know, meet once a month or meet quarterly, as long as there's some dialogue going on with department heads and city council members, so they can understand better the underpinnings of how the city runs. And I believe I want to say that is, I think that's it. Okay. Thank you for hearing us out. We're moving on to the consent calendar. We pulled item 4 and 8. And I'd like to entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Councilman Hodge. I'll second for discussion. On the number 1 item, I believe there's a typo, and I just want to make sure it's corrected. On the first page, it says a meeting started at the regular meeting at 5:45. I believe it's 6:45, just to make sure that we're on time.
Mayor, you made a motion for what?
To approve the consent with not 4 and 8. Those items have been pulled.
I have items to pull.
Oh, I'm sorry. Second for discussion. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Well, let me finish. I got one more on page 3 of item 3. Down the middle, it stated that we're talking about some residences that have a lot of debris. Not, and then the word says trees. Trees are nice. Debris is not. Okay, so just make a correction to that. So other than those corrections on the minutes, I'm fine. Mr. Romero?
Also on item number 2, it also refers to a Mr. Manuel Perez. I believe it's Mr. Manuel Hernandez.
Yes, that was another one.
And as far as in the minutes, but there are some other comments regarding 6 and 7.
Okay, you want to pull those items?
Yes.
So we approve 1, 2, 3, 5, and 9. Is that, do you want to...
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. No, just 6.
Okay.
7 stays in.
7 stays in, okay. So it'll be, Mr. Hodge, would you like to edit your motions to include 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, and 9?
Yes, I would.
And I'll second it. Any other discussion? Seeing that there is none, please vote. I think your green light is out. Try it again. Yes, go ahead.
Another comment on number 3. You went to number 3 and I forgot to comment.
Okay, comment on number, well, we haven't voted. Well, there it is, okay. We rescind your comment, your motion again? He has a comment on number 3. Go ahead, Mr. Romero.
Yeah, in the minutes, it refers to the appropriations setting for fiscal year 2011, 2012, 22 million and change. I want to make a clarification that the city manager did not say this was general fund money, but it serves like a cap where the city cannot exceed those expenses. The way the minutes read, it appears as if the city's general fund is at 22 million and change.
Okay. That is...
When actually it's going to be millions less.
That is noted.
Okay, thank you.
So, does the vote change? Stays the same? Does the vote stay the same? 4-0. And item number 6, Mr. Romero, you pulled that one.
Yes, it's only, just a I wanted to pull this item because it is a change order regarding the Town Center Portico Industrial Park Development Project. And I just want a confirmation that this is only going to be, the work here is what is described as such in the EDA grant, that there is no, that there is some, well, if you can just give a brief summary, very brief.
Good evening. My name is Veronica Tondo with the Engineering Division. Basically, the change order is within the scope of the work, original work approved by EDA and by the grant. So it will be funded as well with the same breakdown that we presented in the original contract to the City Council when the city awarded the contract to Hazard Construction.
And the funds are coming in from different agreements, including the Developer Fair Share Fees Resolution 0820, Proposition 1B, and Local Measure D.
That's correct.
Okay. Again, I wanted to have that approved on its own, so I'll motion for its approval.
There's a motion for item number 6. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hodge. Please vote. And it's a 4-0 vote. Business item. Reply to questionnaire by FEMA inquiring about the city's continued intent to be considered for the 2011 staffing for adequate fire and emergency response SAFER grant.
This item is an item that we bring back, and the only reason that we put it under the business portion of the agenda is to advise you that this is one of the many steps that we're taking in the fire department to improve our staffing and lower our overtime and be able to respond a lot faster. And so, again, if you recall the last meeting that we had, part of the plan included a couple of items in our general movement towards that goal. One of them was the application under the SAFER grant program, which is the staffing for adequate fire and emergency response. And this will, if funded, will allow us to obtain an additional 4 firefighters and allow us to bring our staffing levels up to a maximum of 10 per shift. We, in some shifts right now, have a hard time even retaining the minimum staffing of 8, which means that at any given time when we drop below the 8, we have to call people in on overtime, and that's obviously one of the many reasons why our overtime amount this year is so high. Again, this was one of the pieces of the puzzle. As we spoke about last time, there's another piece of the puzzle which calls for going from a 28-day work cycle to a 24-day work cycle. And so all of these issues, as we put them together and we get our firefighters back on and we are able to staff 10 firefighters per shift, should lower our need to call people in on overtime. So if you approve this tonight, what it'll give us is the ability to move this forward, to give us a positive response, and we feel pretty comfortable that we will be funded. We have moved forward with the actual recruitment and have a waiting list now, a recruitment list, so that once we get approved, then we have, within 30 days, we should be able to put people in these vacancies and therefore start lowering our overtime.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions from Mr. Rodriguez? Chief Mercado, is there anything you'd like to add?
Good evening. I think the city manager pretty much covered everything. He stated that this is a preliminary. Please consider Calexico for this grant. It was reviewed favorably, so that's pretty much the last step before we get awarded. The federal government hates to award grants without there being a positive response by the city and their willingness to accept the grant, so their turnover ratio is very minimized. So yeah, this is a very favorable review, and they're calling us every month now to figure out if we're going to want this or not, and up until last week they said respond this week or we're going to have to give up your money in limited number of words, but that's pretty much what they had said.
Okay, so we won't waste any more time.
Correct.
So I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Romero. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Hodge. Please vote. Motion carries 4-0. Item 11, provide direction to staff to begin advertising the vacancies on the Street Naming Commission or forego the advertising and make appointments to the Street Naming Commission immediately.
This item comes before you from the standpoint that we have an application for consideration for a naming of a retention basin, and upon review, we found out that we really don't have anybody named to this commission because the council has changed in the last 4 years, and so we don't have any names on the commission to be able to take this request to them. It was presented to us as an urgency item that the applicant wanted to move fairly rapidly, and you heard from an individual tonight on that. So we're asking for direction as to how you want us to proceed. Typically, we would go ahead and advertise it, and then we would give you the people that were interested so that you could decide whether you want to select somebody from the advertisement or somebody else. That would be our typical process. If you so desire us not to publicize it and want to make some temporary appointments until we do that, we can certainly do that. So we're seeking your direction as to whether to follow the existing procedure or to try and move it along faster.
Go ahead, Mr. Romero.
Mayor, recently this council adopted that policy on the applications for commissions. Just wonder, I don't know what the urgency would be for a street naming commission. If just go ahead and advertise and see who prepares these applications.
How many members on this commission?
5 members.
5 members. One appointed by each council.
That is correct.
Okay. I agree with Mr. Romero, and I understand that there's also a list of potential candidates that have been, I guess, discussed by the previous name commission, naming, what is it called? The Street Naming Commission. Do you know if that is a fact?
From our research, it showed that all the people who were placed before are no longer valid, and you would have to go ahead.
No, I'm talking about a list of potential people to name streets after.
I believe there is something in the file on that.
Okay, then we should take a look at that too.
Yes, we will bring all of those up also.
And I agree with Mr. Romero, just to go ahead and fly it. Anybody else? Okay, thank you. Is that good enough?
That's good enough.
Okay, Councilman Hodge needs to make an appointment to the library board.
Yes, and I would like to appoint Jeanette Chu.
Okay, Jeanette Chu to the library board. Thank you. Item, any discussion on that one? Seeing that there's none, item number 13. Councilman Romero needs to make an appointment to the Planning Commission.
It'll have to be tabled for the not the 21st, not the meeting on the 21st. As mentioned before, I will not be present at that meeting. Maybe we'll have to wait until July, or can it wait? Is there another meeting that can be, the appointment can be made this month?
Don't recall when our next planning commission meeting is. Is anybody on staff aware of?
The first Tuesday or Monday?
First Monday or Tuesday, I have a calendar.
Is there going to be a special meeting during the month of June?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not even for the budget approval, or?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, for the budget we're looking to.
Maybe, can it be presented at that?
Sure, we can do that.
Okay.
Okay. Item 14. Councilman Romero to make a temporary appointment to the 2010 General Tax Citizen Oversight Committee.
There'll be a special for the budget. Yes, since there has been a concern of some of the commissioners not attending some of their meetings, my appointee, Loli Torres, will be having minor surgery next week and will require extensive therapy afterwards. I am appointing, at least on a temporary basis, Tina Torres, which will sit in for her.
Good
Tina
appointment.
Torres Beltran.
Good appointment. Okay, I believe that there was an addendum to the City Council agenda, Mr. Rodriguez. Is this where it is?
I believe it's scheduled as a special meeting.
As a special meeting,
So
so
after
that'd be at
this,
the very end.
you can follow it after this meeting.
Thank you. Remind me, Mr. Romero, because I don't have it.
I don't either.
But that's the Naval Air Facility. Okay, item number 15, acknowledge investment report for the month of April 2011. Thank you.
Acknowledge.
Acknowledged. Any questions, any discussion? Seeing that there is none, acknowledged report received. Acknowledged receipt of graffiti abatement program information. And I want to say thank you, Mr. Morales, for this report. I noticed that the old Jimmy's Market is cleaned up. I guess somebody's moving in there. Good. And just maybe some questions for the next time. The number of units out of compliance within your report, did it state it there? I didn't see it. Some of the statistics is basically what I'm looking at. So I would like to find out how many number of units that are out of compliance, and if possible, if there are any grants that address graffiti abatement.
Excellent, John. Excellent.
Okay? Thank you, sir, and that's all I have. Anybody have any questions?
On a roll.
Just on this one, on the report and future one, can you, it doesn't mention here how many units were repaired, the graffiti repaired. If you can include it in the future, please. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
No.
Seeing that there is none, we'll go to item 17, which I believe is the
Consent.
the bid.
Bid. It's, this is a consent agenda.
I'm sorry, Mr. Ramirez, I've got to go back. Okay. This is the redevelopment agency. Consent agenda 17 and 18.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. There's our second.
Second.
Second. Please vote.
Mine says yes.
And it should be a 4-0, if I'm not mistaken. I think there's a short from Mr. Castro's light. There it is,
Yeah.
4-0. At this point, we now have the special session. Do we need to close the meeting and open another one, or is?
Yes, and you open up the next meeting.
Okay, before I
Yes.
close it,
Yes.
we do have future agenda items. Start to my left with Mr. Hodge. He's got the laundry list.
Mr. City Manager, I know you have your hands full, so I'm not telling you or requesting you rush right out and get this done, but I'm requesting on a timely basis, not necessarily every council meeting, a city manager's report on relevant projects or bond issuance or special issues. For instance, I just think it's very important. I'm really big on communication and transparency, and that we get this out to people. Like, for instance, Mr. Kim's concern about the swimming pool and other areas
Crossing
like
guards.
Yeah, crossing guards. Excuse me, and the bond for Town Center Plaza. Status reports. Where are we? Public wants to know, and that helps us because if it's not out there, people are making the wrong conclusions, and we need to promote the city that we're doing a really good job in these areas. And it also, status report, I've mentioned it before, and I don't want this to go to the wayside, about job presentations for the Town Center Plaza. I'd still like very much for that, to see that. The other one is a positive note. Today, as we took the tour with the new publisher of Ivy Press, I see everybody here working very, very hard, not just today. And these people here, the employees and department heads, everybody here is extremely dedicated and they're working hard. I would like to go back to monthly recognition for city employees. I think we can afford to recognize them and give them some type of gift certificate from the community. But they really need to be recognized. We can work out the details later. Thank you.
That'd be a good idea, Mr. Hodge, and possibly for the fiscal year 11-12. We can start it then. Mr. Castro, any future agenda items?
No, but I have a question. City Manager, you told us that for the next council meeting, you're gonna bring the item about the Measure H. How can we allocate some money for the crossing guards for the schools?
Well,
Are you sure about that?
Well, the procedures...
We're working on that?
Yes, the procedure is that it needs to go to the Measure H committee first, and then they would make a recommendation up to the council.
Okay.
I don't believe... Lily, do you recall when Measure H meets?
I think they're due.
They had one,
I know they had one in May.
earlier this month.
Earlier this month. They have a monthly meeting, so it wouldn't be till next month when they meet. So we may not be able to make the first meeting in July. I believe, no, I'll take that back. I think they meet the 20th, because that's one of the reasons why their last recommendation isn't on this meeting, because they needed to approve their minutes.
So one
So
day
I
before the
believe they
meeting?
meet the 20th, so it would be on the July meeting, your July meeting.
Mr. Rodriguez, again, with dealing with communication transparency, do we have on our website a list of these commissions and advisory committees when they meet, so that the public can be informed, and maybe a little bit of information of what's coming up or what's going to be addressed?
I would venture to say whoever runs the website, put a monthly calendar and just put the dates of whatever meetings are happening or not happening. Because I know sometimes meetings get canceled. But the 30-day calendar, City Council first and third Tuesday, Planning Commission second and fourth Monday, and the other commissions, Measure H, when do they meet? I know they meet on a Monday, but if it's the third Monday or the second Monday, I don't know. So I think a little calendar, just a link, click, meetings.
Yeah, we can do a monthly calendar for the
the
events.
meetings only.
If it's not there, we'll make sure it gets on there.
Yeah, thank you. Is that all, Mr. Castro?
That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Romero?
I had requested to be on the agenda for appointment for the library board for this meeting. Please make sure that I'm on the next meeting for that, not the 21st. I don't know if it'll be on the 29th or one in July. So that'll go with the Planning Commission. One of the things that I was reading and scanning the June 2nd issue of the Calexico Chronicle. It came across the Imperial County delinquent tax rolls, listing county businesses and individuals who are in default of their county tax bills. I am requesting at this time to provide a similar report in regards to unpaid business license fees for January through June 2011, including any arrears from previous years. I am aware that this report will be time-consuming, and I do sympathize, Ms. Hashem. But let's consider that this is now the 6th month of the year, and we have to also remember that these revenues are part of the final budget. Can we have that information? Okay, also, if the license reflects the person's name, then inquire about the name of the business. If it reflects the business name, then find out who that person is. Thank you. That's the report I'd like to say.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Romero.
Did you catch that, Jim? Thank you.
And at this time, I think we've requested enough. So I will adjourn this meeting.
But
I'm sorry.
more work.
You're not over?
No, they want more work.
They want more work? Okay.
Yeah, we want to work all night, so it's more.
You're working very hard, according to Mr. Hodge. So, okay, we'll adjourn this meeting, and we'll open a special meeting. Call to order a special meeting with one item on the agenda. We have another shot for announcing public comments, and seeing that there is none, we'll move it over to general comments by city council members, and seeing that there is none, we'll go to the consent calendar. And it's adopt a resolution supporting the home basing of the U.S. Navy F-35C Lightning II Joint Strike Fighter Squadron at the Naval Air Facility in El Centro. We saw a report on this on the League of California Cities, how that would impact the Imperial Valley with over 5,000 jobs being generated by this particular program. As it is, the Naval Air Facility puts 800 people to work that are not members of the military. So this would be a boost in the economy, And at this point, is there any other comments from the city council members?
Accept a motion, Mayor.
There's a motion on the floor by Mr. Romero. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Castro. Got you beat.
Yep.
All those in favor, please vote. And it should be a 4-0. And it is a 4-0. And now, our special meeting and our regular meeting are adjourned.